In a world where creativity meets the digital age, one agency stands out from the rest. Welcome to Delphi Legacy Media. We are a team of passionate experts and creatives dedicated to elevating your brand to new heights.
I learned so much today. It was really inspiring hearing everyone speak about all their different experiences and getting together like authors and screenwriters. And I learned a lot from this.
Their creativity and expertise are second to none. But what sets us apart? We tailor our services to fit your unique needs. Whether you're an author, a business owner, or an artist, our services include interviews, media tours, book tours, and speaking engagements, all designed to put your brand in the spotlight. Are you an artist that seeks to obtain more media, headline your own book tour, or adapt a film? Or perhaps you need media training to best prepare yourself? Whatever it may be, we can manage it. Picture your brand in the limelight. Picture your brand in the limelight. Your vision realized. At Delphine Legacy Media, we're partners in your success. Ready to take your brand to the next level? Contact us today. Delphine Legacy Media, where creativity meets success.
Hi, everybody. I'm Boss Amani Shakhete here with you for the art of storytelling, the nuts and bolts to writing a great work of art. A fun fact. Did you know there are 8 billion people in the world? 81% say they have a story to write, and only 1% will ever write that story. I am a writer to an author. I am now an author. I am part of the 1%. I am proud to be a mother and a grandmother. I have over 30 years of marketing and communications experience, a whole nother world of storytelling, and that's in my 9 to 5 life. I have an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree in communications and business, and also a master's in fine art and fiction writing. But so what, right? I love to write. I love to read fiction. That's my passion. Again, I'm a published author under my own imprints, Krish Kingdom Publications and In Small Doses. I have 3 novels on the market, Latanya Trilogy, parts 1 and 2. I'm in the process of writing part 3. And also Wrong Daughter, Night of the Blood Moon, released last year in December on Solstice. For you seasoned writers, you know what I'm talking about when I say you must have your own personal space. Critical, critical, critical. Make it work for you. Share it with no one. This is your private time to write, write, write. Make sure you have a space for your notes. I am considered an inspirational writer, primarily writing on inspiration. However, all stories should have a starting and an ending, right? You should have a process of how you track your story. Here's my wall. On my wall, I have 3 novels in process where I keep my notes, where I keep my outline for my novels. Even though that may change as the story progresses, I still have my notes I keep in front of me on a daily basis. Always have a sign on your door that says do not enter, particularly when you're writing or when you're recording like I'm doing right now. I've had this sign up since last November, the one that says NaNoWriMo. November. National Novel Writing Month happens every year, gives writers an opportunity to write a 50,000 word novel in 30 days. Yep, it's actually a national contest. I don't join the contest, I just join the process because it provides me an opportunity to keep writing daily and get my work done. In 2021, I finished Wrong Daughter, Night of the Blood Moon, and last year I finished the first draft of Sharecropper, another novel that I'm working on. National Novel Writing Month, just Google it. You'll find out more information about it if you're interested. Ready to rock and roll. Storytelling goes way back, right, to our ancestors. And this is something that's really dear to me, folks. We are in a time in our country where people are trying to silence the voices of Black and African American people. They don't want us telling our stories, stories that are critical to us, that tells us about our history that has been lost and stolen, okay? History that tells us about how we came to be, our spirituality, and a lot of different things, right? Those stories are important. They're passed down through generations. And those of us who are on this journey today, particularly people of color, we have stories to tell, whether they're fiction or nonfiction, and we need to fight to make sure those stories are still told to the next generation. I also wanted to mention something about storytelling. I know it evolves over time, correct? We went from writing longhand to writing on scrolls to writing on laptops, right? But now I hear that writers are using a tool called artificial intelligence. I have to go on my soapbox just for a moment. AI, I'm not saying anything against AI, I think it has its place. But when you're talking about writing, the writer's journey, the imagination that comes through us, and some of those stories we tell, they could be really far reaching into the future, and a lot of those stories may tell the future at times, right? But they come from our souls, they come from our heart, they come from our humanity. Humanness behind those stories is critical. And when people use a tool like AI, artificial intelligence, to write their stories, those aren't real writers. Those aren't real artists because you have a machine developing your work. We are the real writers, the ones that put our blood, sweat, and tears into those stories, get on that laptop and get to writing, let those ideas flow, create those stories for you and you and you to listen to, and our children and the next generation. Critical, critical, critical. But again, not putting anybody down, but that is just my opinion. AI writers, not real writers. Storytelling elements. We're going to try to go through all of this in a very short amount of time. Genre and literary character development. All of these storytelling elements go into telling a good story. So, what's your story? Why do you want to write one? What's the goal to that story? Who do you want to tell? Why do you want to tell it? What type of story or theme do you want to tell? If you plan to tell it, do you plan to sell it? If you're going to do that, that's a whole nother piece on how to market your story. Art of storytelling, story structure and sequence. Here's the crux of storytelling. Here's how it is outlined. When you look at a movie or you read a book or you go to a play, for example, there are acts, right? There are scenes and acts. Act 1, 2, and 3. This is how it's broken up. Scene in sequel falls into the acts 1, 2, and 3. And act 1 is critical because that's what sets up your story. The hook, one of the most important things in storytelling, because guess what it does? It hooks your audience, it grabs your audience, it keeps them moving through your story. If you don't grab them in the first few sentences or the first page, watching a movie, if you don't grab them at that first scene, you can lose them, okay? So more on this when you do your research to find out just how to delve into these three acts when you're writing. When you sit back and read a book and you look at a movie, you're saying to yourself, geez, doesn't it sound familiar? And it does because there's only five main plots or themes. Some new school of thought says there's seven main themes. Some say nine main themes. The additional themes that have gone beyond the five themes I put in light blue and also light yellow. Now, comedy and tragedy, for example. or in the yellow, rebellion or mystery. Those are the latest ones that have come out as being part of the main theme. What I'm actually saying here is that when you look at a movie, when you read a story, they all kind of follow a certain theme. They all sound familiar. It's how you tell the story, how you position your story is what makes it different from the next writer or creator. Okay? Now, when you look at these new themes, they kind of flow within the 5 themes. Okay, folks? Just take a look at this. Rebirth, voyage and return. You know, I'm going to some fantasy land and coming back. You see this a lot in young adult fiction. The quest, I'm sent off to capture an artifact or something, bring it back and save the world. Something else you also see in young adult fiction. Overcoming the monster could be a monster within a person's life, not necessarily 7-headed monsters, could be a serial killer, cult leader. Rags to riches. You know, I'm rich or I'm poor, I become rich, I'm rich, I become poor. That, folks, think about it, could be a tragedy. See how that flows in it? Rebirth, that's transforming. I'm transforming in my life. And all of these, when you look at them, rebellion, for example, there's rebellion in all of these 5 main themes, right? There's comedy. It could be comedy in these themes when you're developing these themes. Some of these can be pretty humorous. So what I'm saying to you, I'm sticking to the old school of thought, 5 main themes. Everything else flows out of these 5 main themes. And if you want to test that theory, create a short story. Do 2 or 3 of them and see if you see those themes that I'm talking about or speaking about. What's your preference, genre or literary? Difference. I am a literary writer. Literary writers focus or zero in on their characters. Genre writers really focus in on the plot or that like a mystery or a comedy. They focus in on those, science fiction, fantasy, and they use those plots or themes to drive the story. Whereas in literary, the character drives the story. And the reason I am really fond of literary is because literary really has no rules. Genre fiction does. Particularly like science fiction or fantasy, there's certain things that rules you have to follow. And I can't really go into detail about those rules. Just know that you have to follow rules, and people that are fan of genre fiction for entertaining purposes, being entertained in those kind of things, they are conditioned to follow a certain way those works are written, okay? But in literary fiction, when you're focusing in on your character, you're defining that character all the way down to their psyche, their emotions, not just what they look like, but how they feel, how they connect, who their people surrounding them, the settings that they like. There's a lot that goes into character-driven novels. Character-driven or literary has gotten a bad rap over the years. You will hear some people say, well, you can't sell many of those novels. You want to bet? More and more producers and creators are looking at novels that have more character-driven capability. For example, young adult fiction. Young adults in this world, crazy mixed up world they live in, you know, think about it. They connect with their characters. Those characters help drive them. They see themselves in their characters. So that's literary or character-driven fiction. The character drives the story, not the plot. Genre, you know, your Marvel franchise, for example, Transformers, Planet of the Apes. Now, I mentioned all those 3 because I happen to like all of them. I like genre fiction, and there's a school of thought that says there shouldn't be an either or, there should be both. Okay, even if the character drives the story, they should be driving that plot, right? If the plot is driving the story, it should be driving those characters to do things. And if you think about it, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, but anyway, genre entertainment value. When you really see movies or read books that are genre or plot driven, they're action oriented, they move really quickly, really have time to breathe. That is if they're done well. You have really have time to breathe, and they move along a rhythmical pattern where they just keep moving, moving, moving. Whereas in character driven fiction, they do the same, but the character has the time to breathe. The character has the time to say, this is who I am. Please get to know me. Point of view, really critical, critical, critical. What would be the right point of view for your work, for example? In my opinion, and in others' opinion, first person is good for young adult fiction because first person is the character telling their own story. Okay? Second person is plural, a couple people telling the story together. Okay? Third person is somebody standing back and telling a person's story. Third person, omnipotent, my understanding is it's like a superior being looking down on you and telling the story for everybody. Okay? And there's hybrid, you're moving back and forth between first and second and third. Multiple persons are telling the story. And so you just need to be aware of your tone when you're doing these stories. You'll see as you're moving forward, you're going to have to develop a certain style and tone, and that's a whole nother process. But you'll get used to that as you're writing. But I have to tell you, LaTanya is written in first person. Loved it. Wrong Daughter, Night of the Blood Moon, is a young adult fiction novel, and I wrote it in third person. If I had to do it again, I would write it in first person. There are two main characters, Emanuela Crumley, Marabella Jacobs. They're two twin sisters. One was developed out of evil, the other one developed out of good. I would have them individually tell their own story. The chapters are kind of designed in that manner, meaning that you'll see a chapter that's reading the one who came before, meaning she was born before, the one who came after, meaning the evil twin she was born after. There's a lot that goes into that. You'll have to read Wrong Daughter, Night of the Blood Moon if you want to know more about that. But I would have done it in third person. I think it would have flowed a little better for me. It was just challenging because of the type of story that it was to do it in third person rather than first. Setting the stage is critical in world building. Setting the stage, setting and world building. Okay. Setting is pretty much, I'm in this world today. Where is it being set? Is it being set in the United States or is it being set in Africa? But it's all on planet Earth. World building is beyond planet Earth. I'm building something in the universe. I'm building a new fantasy world. The world is not on this earth. Magical realism is bringing magic to the setting of reality. And fantasy and science fiction, when you're building other worlds, that is very challenging because those worlds have got to be believable. You can't build a world and it just sounds like a cartoonish type world. It really has to sound believable. It's set on planet Thrust, and the characters don't have physical form. They are the shape of planet Thrust, which has energy flowing here and there. They have no color, they don't speak, they don't eat. And they're just one big blob. Okay, but anyway, it has to be built to the point where you have smells, geography, types, everything that goes into a real world, but it's on a fantasy world or a science fiction world. So a lot of building going there, but it's a lot of fun if you get into that type of setting or world building. And one thing I should point out before I move on, historical fiction, if you're going to do historical fiction, by the way, make sure that the historical element is accurate. For example, Wrong Daughter, Night of the Blood Moon, 1908 to 1925, I actually pulled out an almanac, or went online and got an almanac to find out what situations or the type of weather, the type of events that were happening around that time, because I built that into the story, even though the town of Baldwin, Alabama was fictitious. Character, character development, critical. I love character development and developing dialogue. It brings your characters to life. And here's what I do when I develop my characters, and you're really going to get into a lot more deep character building if your characters are driving your story. What I do is I develop biographical sketches or biographies. And this is pretty much what most writers do. You have to know who your characters are, what they like, what their dislikes are, particularly your main characters. So what I do is I outline biographies for my main characters, for example, Emanuela and Marabella, the twins. Here you'll see their characteristics, you know, their who they connect to, who their family tree is, all of those things. It's more than they have blue eyes, black skin, or kinky hair, right? It's a lot more to that when you're developing your character sketches. And so what I do from there is with my other characters, I usually use this outline, but I also list them. And I also put in information that is needed for me to understand who that character is. Like, character is cousin to so and so. And I also put in where that character comes in the story, because sometimes my characters just show up in my stories. And I'll go, ooh, where'd that character come from? So I put that character into my biographical sketch. I put them where they showed up, chapter 14, chapter 15, and I write that in, and I write what that character was doing or plans to do or not in the story. So that's really critical to do your biographical sketches. And you can actually find these templates online if you're looking for this type of an outline. Keep it moving, folks. Keep it moving. Don't stop. This is critical as you move forward down this journey. Title is the next thing. Put your potential title. There's schools of thoughts out there on how to develop a title. Once you draft your first novel and you read through it, you'll say, it sounds like this. It's based on romance or based on fantasy. And I think I'll pull this out and create a title. Remember, titles have got to be captivating. It grabs attention, right? Because your title and your artwork on your cover is what's going to grab attention. Which is interesting because I have read books that have great cover, and then you get into the book and it sounds like crap, honestly. Or I've actually read books where the cover's not so great and they've been really good books. Okay, but I'm a reader. I love to read different books, not just the famous or celebrated novelists, but some of the new people that are on the scene right now. I read their novels as well. So remember, potential title, that takes some time. You're going to draft that manuscript. Don't try to edit it at the very beginning. Just draft the first draft. That's why NaNoWriMo month would be a good time to start your draft if you haven't already. Get that first draft done, then rewrite. You're going to be looking at possibly a professional editor, copy editor, or reviewer. I hired a reviewer on Latanya that gave me some great insight on how to lay it out. It was about Latanya's story, so we laid it out in the form of a diary. Beta groups or beta readers are excellent. People that will read your final draft before you take it into publishing or editing, even before the editor, right? They give you feedback on how it flows, on how it's making them feel. And let me tell you this, folks, Make sure your beta folks are not necessarily your family. I've had that happen a few times. You want your families to get excited about what you do, but you want someone that's going to give you tough love. So it's great to pick 10 people of a focus group of people that know nothing about you or the work that you do, but they are connected to your genre or type of novel that you're writing, and just have them read it and give you feedback, okay? Really, really good insight, okay? And then you'll go on down the line and look at book size and how much your page count. There's so much that goes into it. That's more research along the line. And another great idea is if you're looking to just get an overview of your work, like for example, editing before you send it to a professional, there's a software called AutoCrit. AutoCrit can edit your work for you. What it will do, it will tell you how many wases you have. You got too many theys. You said it too many times. You might have some phrases in there that shouldn't be. So it could tell you. It would give you insight into your work. And also, what's good about AutoCrit is that it has a database of all the successful novels that have been published, and it will lay your novel next to the novel in the database that's similar to yours, and it will give you insight on whether yours is going to make the mark one day. You know what I mean? Could it potentially be a bestseller? So it gives you good insight if you want to go that route before you start spending money, because a lot of us self-publishers really don't have a lot of money to be spending on all these fancy things like um, writers that would go to traditional publishers may have that luxury. And some next steps, your title, do some research on that. Copyright, folks, critical. Don't send your manuscript out to anybody until you have it copyrighted. Go to the United States Copyright Office, U.S. Government Office of Copyright. That is where you copyright your work legally for 30 or 40 bucks. Please don't go online and get caught up in these places that say, we can help you copyright for $175. I know that because in my earlier days, I got caught up into that. And hey, we all make mistakes along the way, and I made that mistake, and I'm telling you not to make that mistake. Just go to the U.S. Copyright Office, pay your 30, 40 bucks, and get it legally copyrighted. And that will be your manuscript. Remember, you can't copyright your title, you can't copyright themes. It's just the work that you produced. It's covered under the government copyright. Okay. You're going to need ISBNs. That's more to come on that. ISBNs, those identify your book. You'll have to go and purchase ISBNs. Bowker ISBN services is where I go. They've been around forever. You can buy your barcodes there as well. Barcodes is, how you sell your book when you get down that way. And then you're going to explore publishing options, self-publishing, traditional publishing, or hybrid, meaning you may do a little bit of both. Stay connected. We are all a part of AAMBC. There's tons of chat rooms out there, folks. Masterclass, go online, see who they are. It's a group that was started by Margaret Atwood. She was the author of Handmaid's Tale. In her masterclass, she has a host of famous writers that are a part of her masterclass. For a membership each month, you can learn from the best. Okay? So check that out. Walter Mosley is on there. I love Walter Mosley. Actually, Sandra Rhimes is on there as well. If you want to learn about filmmaking, etc., she's on there. So a lot of great people are a part of Masterclass, and it's like a phenomenal fee per month to actually be a part of it. Again, research. Read other folks' stories, at least I do. That's just what I do. And jot down your ideas and track your success. You can applaud, and everybody will applaud you. Okay, we made it, I think. Art of storytelling. Join us one percenters. That's where I would like to leave it, folks. If you have any questions, send me an email at basamani at amanishakit.com. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com, Basamani Shah, or Instagram, Basamani Shah. Check out my website at amanishakit.com. And I've done some short stories you might want to take a look at on there. I've posted under short stories. Also have written some blogs. I also just received a review from Book Review. That entire book review is online at amanishakit.com. I also have that on Goodreads. Okay, so check me out at Goodreads as well. And also where you can buy my books is listed at amanishakit.com. Meanwhile, it has been great being with you today. Please have a blessed day, and I will see you as part of the one percenters one day. Take care.
If you're looking for a secure haven within the literary world, you found the perfect organization. Let's make magic together. Our space is specifically designed for African American authors who are passionate about their writings of films and books. It's a platform to stay informed about industry developments. And on Patreon, we'll share exclusive content, valuable resources, and engaging discussions and masterclasses on various subjects, ranging from film and publishing industry trends to wellness and business tips. So if you're ready to dive into this exciting community, become a member now. Welcome to our literary haven where creativity knows no bounds. Let's make magic together.